Hi guys, my name is Ginger Franklin and I like to review and compare books, mostly period dramas, to their movies. So today I'm doing Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. So there are two film adaptations of Northanger Abbey. One was made in 1987 and the other in 2007. If you haven't seen them or read the book, there will be spoilers, but I will warn you if there's any concerning content in any of the movies that you might want to watch out for if you have kids or if you're just careful about what you watch yourself. If you haven't seen any of the movies and books, I would highly advise, and this is just because this is what I would do if I could do it all over again, I would advise reading the book first, then watching the 87 movie, then the 07 movie. The reason I would read the book first is because of the 2007 movie, I had certain expectations towards the book, and the book failed my expectations. I'm not saying the 2007 movie is just the best movie in the world or the best adaptation of Northanger Abbey, even though it's my favorite personally. But it was very entertaining and it has a really good story actually. It's about this girl named Catherine Morland, and she's kind of empty-headed. I mean, she's a really, good sweet girl, but she's naive and very innocent, very, very nice. But I mean, she has this horrible overactive imagination. She's reading this gothic romantic novel and it's kind of influencing her imagination. And at first she's in Bath, so she's making friends, and some of these friends are deceitful and they're not very nice, and she thinks they're all good, but she slowly begins to see people for who they really are. And then she goes off with her friends to Northanger Abbey, and she imagines some very naughty things about the family, and so Mr. Tilney, the love interest, he scolds her for it, and she's very upset, and then she gets sent away, not because of that. I won't spoil all of it, but anyway, so she goes back home, she burns her book, she grows up, and then Mr. Tilney comes and tells her he loves her, and she gets married and even has a baby by the end of the movie. It's a very good story about growing up. The book just wasn't as entertaining. Sometimes, especially probably if you read the book first. I mean, if I had read the book first, I don't know if I would have liked it all that much or not. I mean, some books you read and you just absolutely love them. Jane Austen, I mean, yes, she's known as being a romance author. Some of her books I would consider romances, some of them not so much. Jane Austen was just, in my opinion, really good at writing characters, human nature. Everyone has this motive, despite what they may say. Well, their motives, come through in what they do, and I'm impressed with that aspect of her writing. That's one thing that made the book really enjoyable for me, was reading about Isabella and John Thorpe and how consistent they were, and then finally Catherine seeing that too. As far as her actually her imagination kind of running away with her at times, I don't remember that being in the book. She is reading a gothic romantic novel. They probably took parts from that book and, to spice up the movie, which does make it entertaining, but kind of stupid at the same time. So to be completely honest, I found the book just a touch on the boring side, which the movie probably ruined for me, I'm gonna be honest. Even though, like I said, I might not really have enjoyed it that much to begin with. I'm not trying to offend anyone. It's just there is kind of a lack of plot in the book, which plays out really well in an hour-and-a-half movie. I was not expecting the 1987 movie at all. It was, in my opinion, in my great words, it was kind of dumb, kind of cheesy, and really weird. And, I've never been to Bath, so maybe I don't know anything about the English, but what was with the room where they were walking around fully clothed in water? They had a paper plate around their neck with food on it. I have no idea what that was. That was the first thing that was really weird to me. I honestly thought she was dreaming. And then that poor woman who comes to see the Tilneys, I thought she was wearing a mask at first. Her face is creepy. The other thing that really annoyed me about this movie was Mr. Tilney. Because of course, he was not J.J. Phillip. Also, they never once mentioned that he was a clergyman. Like, in this movie, I'm sure he wasn't even supposed to be a clergyman. That is like one of the main things that's mentioned about him in both the book and the movie. I think maybe it's mentioned later in the movie, but it's mentioned like right off in the first of the movie in 2007. And I don't care what people think. Leaving that fact out is an injustice to the character because that is who that character is. And so I'm just saying. The music was also really weird, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know, it was like this kind of pulsing music and like drums, and it's just kind of weird. It's not something I would buy a CD of or listen to on Spotify. So overall, the movie was the story of Northanger Abbey. I would almost say it's closer, let's say the part of Catherine might be a little bit more accurate to the book. But in my opinion, she wasn't flawed enough in this older film for me to really make a contrast between her old self and her new self once she had, you know, grown up. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I really like the 2007 version for those reasons. Now, a major complaint about the book that I have is the ending. Like I said, I saw the 2007 film first, and you have to admit that the ending is just one of the most iconic endings of any Victorian movie. Like, it is better, and I might get stoned for this, but it is better than Pride and Prejudice 2005. That's a really bold statement, I know. And if you haven't seen it, you're going to see it now.
He thought I was rich.
It was Thorpe who misled him at first. Thorpe who hoped to marry you himself. He thought you were Mr. Allen's heiress, and he exaggerated Mr. Allen's wealth to my father. You were only guilty of not being as rich as you were supposed to be. For that, he turned you out of the house.
I thought you were so angry with me you told him what you knew, which would have justified any discourtesy.
No. The discourtesy was all his. I've broken with my father, Catherine. I may never speak to him again.
What did he say to you?
Let me instead tell you what I said to him. I told him that I felt myself bound to you. By honour, by affection, and by a love so strong that nothing he could do could deter me from...
From what?
Before I go on, I should tell you, there's a pretty good chance he'll disinherit me. I fear I may never be a rich man, Catherine.
Please, go on with what you were going to say.
Will you marry me, Catherine?
Yes. Yes, I will. Yes.
To begin perfect happiness at the respective ages of 26 and 18 is to do pretty well. Catherine and Henry were married, and in due course the joys of wedding gave way to the blessings of a christening. The bells rang and everyone smiled. No one more so than Eleanor, whose beloved's unexpected accession to title and fortune finally allowed them to marry.
1987 actually didn't disappoint me either. You know, they're like, Catherine's like standing out in the fog, and Mr. Tilney rides up on a horse, and he like gets off his horse, and then you've got one of Catherine's little siblings going, Kathy, Kathy, for whatever reason, and then like Mr. Tilney, well, she's standing there and her eyes are like humongous. I don't even know how she does that with her eyes. Anyway, so then he kisses her while the little boy is still calling his sister's name, and I don't get that either. It was actually a pretty good ending. I liked it. I mean, it didn't have all the dialogue that the 2007 version did, but they didn't even give me dialogue. Jane Austen doesn't even give you dialogue. Like, I was so disappointed about that. So yeah, that's why I'm wondering if it's even really a romance. Like I promised, concerning content in the films. So both films, as far as language goes, only one word is used multiple times throughout the movies, and that is the D word. I'm not gonna say it because this is a family channel, but it's actually in the book. Now it's dashed out in the book. I don't know why. I don't know if Jane Austen did that herself. I'm guessing she did. So it's used actually quite a bit in 2007 version, like in the first of the film, and then it's only used like once later in the film. It's used like a couple of times in the older movie, sporadically. That is the only foul language. 1987, I would say, is more just disturbing and like kind of creepy. Her dreams that she has, someone sews a needle and thread through their fingers. And then also I remember seeing blood. I would just say kind of disturbing for young kids. So that's my warning there. 2007 version, a little more complicated. Crucial nudity is never shown, but it is very much implied. For instance, Catherine Morland stands up out of a bathtub. You don't see anything below this point. And then also one girl covers herself with nothing but a sheet. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review, if it even felt like a review. I don't know why you even, if you made it to this point, I don't know why you even continued watching. Because if anyone cares about what I think about Northanger Abbey. Almost said north and south. Anyways. Okay, so if you would like to express your opinion in the comments below, feel free. I might like your comment. I probably won't reply to it unless you ask me a question. I don't typically like to argue, like online. Of course, if it's about Pride and Prejudice, that is an entirely different subject. So, yeah, there we go. That's all, folks.